A lesson that we have learned in Urania is that it is important to look through emotions, tempers, and other roller coasters and focus on facts. If a person wants to be serious about sustainable development, he or she should do the same. It is, however, the wrong season for more factual debate since it is an election year. This is the second part of Urania's reaction to statements made by the ANC Premier of the Northern Cape, Dr. Simani Saul. This is in English for a wider audience. Even though we understand that Dr. Simani Saul argues from his perspective as someone who wants to further the cause of the ANC's socialistic shared national identity vision, and wants that to succeed, we could not let some of the claims that he made left unanswered, since that would do no one favors to keep inaccuracies as historical fact. Statements like Urania that was expropriated without proof of compensation for a failed project, stating that Urania excludes the poor, or armgatte as he calls them, and that Urania was a happy place where him and other families shared meals, played soccer, and so on before their property rights were harshly taken away, begs historical correction. And we decided that the best way that Urania could reply to these election year claims is by referring to literature, peer-reviewed academic studies as independent factual sources. So, let's jump in and set the record straight. First claim. The rightful owners of Urania were brutally evicted to make place for the new Urania. Fact check, false. When the town, then largely abandoned, was purchased after the evacuation by the Department of Water Affairs in 1991, the majority of workers had already been relocated to other state projects following the scaling down of the Orange River development scheme. Academic authors, including those critical of Urania, described the remaining occupants as temporary project workers whose employment had ended but not yet moved on to the next project, as well as unauthorized, illegal squatters, not lawful homeowners. In any functioning society, private property law is a baseline legal framework. Illegal squatters were indeed asked to leave the now sold and legally owned Urania before any of the Afrikaners moved in, and the repairs of the broken infrastructure could start. Sources cited on the screen. Next claim. All evicted families were removed from their own habitable houses and forced into informal settlements. Fact check, false as well as misleading. Water affairs workers didn't actually own houses. They were contracted and government issued temporary housing. It's not your property if you rent something. Legally, it's just occupation, not ownership. The literature even proves that this was in many cases blatant illegal occupation. Here are the sources. Let's go to the next claim. Urania is a pretext for grabbing back to the past or to create apartheid. Fact check, false. At very best, his own normative opinion presented as fact. Urania's defining principle is that of own labor, eie arbeid. This stands in direct contrast to any exploitative economic models which relies on racialized labor exploitation. The emphasis on self-reliance, community responsibility are things that represents a break, not a continuation of any exploitive practices. While individuals may misunderstand Urania's cultural and economic model, academic literature does not support the claim that Urania functions as a system where non-Afrikaners get racially exploited. And here are your sources on the screen. Let's go to the next claim, which is one of the central claims in Dr. Saul's statements. Urania is now evicting people for being poor. Fact check, blatantly false. No academic research supports the claim that Urania evicts residents based on their poverty. While emphasis is placed on self-sustainability, there are quite a lot of research showing that local economic development and Urania's bottom-up self-help model has been more effective at reducing dependency and alleviating poverty than neighbouring towns still reliant on state grants. A University of the Free State study notes that sustainable development depends not on the state planning alone, but on shared responsibility, gradual growth and local initiative, of which Orania is busy with. This study contrasts Orania with the community of Philippopolis, where long-term grant dependency has been increased, while Orania expanded community-funded welfare, education, and low-cost housing initiatives. These are all things driven with Afrikaners' own money, own ideas, and own labour. As a whole, Orania is, in the words of the late Professor Johan van Zyl, economist at the University of Pretoria, South Africa's first working example of a new trend of economics from the bottom up. Here you go for the sources. Claim: Orania's first history stand in the light of another failed project by the previous regime. So claims Dr. Shimani Soul. No, this is not truthful. The Orange River scheme built with great success development as a powerhouse of agricultural opportunity in the Northern Cape, of which many farmers can be the witness. Exporting wheat, maize, water, electricity and more, facilitating great economic growth for the province, and that all is very far from a failed project. Claim: the Orania area was originally expropriated and people lost property rights, and there is no proof of compensation. Fact check. Now this is very blatantly false. Academic research, state records and registered title deeds show that Orania is privately owned property, lawfully purchased on the open market. Even in Dr. Soul's effort to compare the actions of the 1960s with his party's current expropriation without compensation policy, there is great absence of truth. There are in fact clear evidence that even 60 years ago, proper transactions took place for the construction of the Orange River dams and the facilitating areas relevant to that project. Regarding Orania itself, any effort to land restitution claims related to Orania were investigated and long ago resolved through financial compensation as recorded in the Government Gazette more than 2 decades ago. These claims were finalized over 13 years ago, leaving no outstanding land claims against Orania. Orania is privately and legally owned. And then, a claim: Orania will inevitably fail under the collective agency of a diverse society. Fact checked? Let's ask the audience, is this unsupported speculation? Well, empirical data contradicts the claims of Dr. Soul here. Orania has experienced consistent population growth, averaging approximately 10% annually, alongside with expanding infrastructure, services, schools, tertiary training facilities, and much more. All done without any of the equitable share taxes that we continue to contribute to. While the Northern Cape province receives over 5 billion rands just in equitable share tax money back annually to use for development. Rather than failing, Orania represents a function example of a community-driven development. As the Professor Johan van Zyl from the University of Pretoria previously mentioned, described it, it is a working example of bottom-up economics. Now, we respectfully invite the Premier to engage directly with the community of Orania, rather than relying on anecdotal assumptions or online stories. Orania is willing to share the self-reliance development model with surrounding communities and municipalities. It is a practical plan that municipalities can use to take control of their own futures, create service delivery, and fight economic stagnation. Let us move beyond election year rhetoric and focus instead on facts, dialogue, and long-term solutions benefiting communities, rather than all these unnecessary divisions and attacks. Thank you very much.